Namaste, beloveds. This is Mother with Wisdom, and we're going to continue on with what we started yesterday. Okay, beloveds, this is Crafting the Lens of Spiritual Truth Inside the Age of Spiritual Lies, Part 2. Okay, so let's get into it. And before we get into it, I'm going to read something that kind of surfaced, came up in some things I was looking at, and so I'm going to use that. It's from the Medicine Woman deck, and it's the Nine of Arrows. Take time to honor your feelings as you heal from devastating circumstances. Allow yourself to look forward to the future with optimism. The Nine of Swords in this position portrays a person suffering the lonely grief of abandonment or bereavement, and perhaps a sense of panic due to loss of power and position. Overcome with feelings of helplessness, he or she is beset with fear of what might happen next. No matter what may have happened to your situation, all meaning is not lost from life. You can and will recover from setbacks. To do so, you must overcome pessimism. As you recover from misfortune, you will see the way clear before you. You will see the way clear before you. Give yourself time to explore your feelings, and you will awaken tomorrow with confidence in the future. Okay, that is that card. And again, that was the Nine of Arrows, beloveds. And I'm just going to dive into this topic. And let me give a little bit of why I am, these glasses are dark, of why I am continuing on in this vein, with this topic. Okay, because this topic is coming up at a time where there's a lot going on, not just in the physical world that we can see with our eyes, but also in the spiritual realm, spiritual world. Okay, and if you are the least bit sensitive, you can feel, I don't want to say the tensions, but I will say the shifts. You can feel all the shifts that are taking place. Excuse me for fidgeting. So there's a lot going on in that sense. And the crafting the lens is for you to really be able to understand and see what's going on, what's taking place, how it's taking place, and for you to not only observe it, but to bear witness. Bear witness. And so you've got to craft the lens that you're looking from. And in doing that, you begin to focus differently on different things. You began to pay attention to certain things other than the obvious. You began to notice just a lot of the movement, a lot of the stillness, a lot of the noise, a lot of the white noise. You notice what is physical, like I said, and what is spiritual. You can kind of discern from the two of them. And that's really important, beloveds. And as you know, yesterday I did the part 1 of this video, and it started within the beginning was the word, and we went off into what words mean and how they're used. And today we're going to go a little bit deeper into that vein. Okay? We're going to go a little bit deeper into that cosmology of words and the beginning of words and the root, getting to the root meaning. Okay? That is where all the nutrients are. That is where the undiluted medicine and healing is found in the words, is at the root. Okay? So, let me just read what I wrote. I recently had some things that I had ordered stolen from me. The energy was very particular, meaning it felt slimy. It actually left a trail of energetic slime behind with it. So my instincts let me know this was an intentional theft, not random. What does that mean? It means this was personal. Whoever took this was aware of my name or my apartment number, my energy. It was directed towards me. It was to hurt me. It was to affect me. It was to get a reaction from me. Okay? So let me keep going. My spiritual conscious awareness is expanding, meaning I am paying attention and being very spiritually vigilant during these times, these end times. Many things are very apparent, and many more are becoming apparent, meaning it can be seen, felt, known beyond a shadow of a doubt now by me. And I do not take this personal. The material things are material things. They're easily replaced. What is seeking my personal response, reaction, is expected for me to act like how I would before my spiritual conscious expansion. I'm no longer that being, and I will not allow her to be resurrected to participate in someone else's need for personal demonic gratification at the expense of my soul's divine peace. Now, let me break that down. Before, I would have been ready to confront people. I would have assumed. I would have been ready to go off. I would have been ready to get physical. I would have been cussing people out. I would have held all kind of resentment and anger and this, that, and the next. Okay? But simply not over the material thing or the money spent on the material thing. No. But simply because it was mine, and how dare you. And I want you to understand that is very personal. Okay? The I am that I am self, everything and nothing belongs to it already. It doesn't have to chase anything. It doesn't have to buy anything. It doesn't need anything. It doesn't have to take anything. It doesn't have to miss anything. Everything's everything. And nothing is full of all the potential that can, will, and shall be. And so there's a spiritual peace that comes from that standing, from that inner standing within yourself, with that connection, with that unity, with that oneness of conscious awareness. When you let go of your own egotistical identifying personality traits that you have to defend, that you have to constantly define, that others misunderstand for whatever reasons, or that they want to take it personal that you're speaking specifically about them and you're speaking in general. When you get to the point of no longer paying attention to the human mind, the human logic of what you have to, how you have to react and respond in accordance with your ego's identity, it's a whole different world. It's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different reality. It's a whole different consciousness. It's a whole different lens. That's why I had the glasses. It was a play on lens. Crafting a lens. You know, glass and glasses is fire is used on glass. And color is added to it or not added to it. If you want it clear, it's clear. But it's molded. It's crafted. You have to be very skilled to be a glass worker. Okay? You have to have a level of skill to craft glass into shapes, into images, into forms, to mix the colors. You have to be very familiar with the alchemy and the chemistry of the fire, the air, the water, so forth and so on. And so, beloveds, this whole, like I said, the topic is crafting a lens to see spirit through, to recognize spirit, to bring magnetized positive spiritual energies to you, loving, unconditional energy to you, peace to you. But in order to do that, you must realize the polar opposite of that as well. Okay? And that's why some of the topics that I'm getting ready to get into may seem kind of dark, may seem kind of scary for some, okay? And may seem straight up evil to others. But I want you to understand the polarities, okay? And I want you to understand that everything is held in zero. Zero is the womb. Zero is the spiritual conscious womb. And to go to the extreme of negative or positive, you have to step outside of zero. And what you encounter is based upon whether you're going positive or negative. Whether what you're doing is unconditional love for all or is self-hate for you, or based upon self-hate for others, but it's negative. It's based on not trusting, it's based on not knowing, whereas the positive spirituality is unconditional love. It is allowing things, it is being patient. It is all the virtues, it is all the fruits of the Spirit. If you don't know what that is, look it up in the Bible. Look it up on Google. Fruits of the Spirit, okay? That's the positive direction. The negative direction is called the works of the flesh. And so, how are these things used against you? How are these, whether knowingly or whether you're straight up ignorant of them? Okay? I want to get into it. I want to educate you. I want to give you something to start with to begin your self-inquiry, to begin your understanding of your spiritual conscious awareness, your ability to be present, spiritually present, your ability to recognize things through a spiritual lens, okay? And your choice not to, okay? Or your indifference. It's time that these things were addressed, because leaving them is allowing the world that we are currently existing in to exist, okay? It's creating this living hell of suffering because no one is correcting it. No one is saying anything. No one is stepping up, or too few are saying anything, or too few are stepping up. And not enough are recognizing that. They're seeing those people as the crazy ones. And so this is about just opening up everything and understanding it. It's going to get into a little bit later on into the historical. Okay, so let me keep going because there's a lot here. And again, this is part 2, but I'll be doing a part 3, which will be summing both of these up and adding some more stuff on my Blog Talk Radio show. Okay. I stopped at I will not allow her to be resurrected to participate in someone else's need for personal demonic gratification at the expense of my soul's divine peace. Make no mistake, all that I am sees you, all that you are and are not. You are capable of expanding your spiritual conscious awareness beyond your ego's personal identity. It is not my place to judge you, but it is within my powers and ability to stop you from infecting me with your spiritual dis-ease, chaos, lack of peace. The forked tongue is an ancient, and it is the most cunning, but it has nothing on the Holy Spirit's truth of I am that I am. That is my mother's tongue, from which I speak clearly and truthfully, knowing that I will be judged and held 100% accountable for each word formed and informed, known, observed, witnessed, not with my physical senses, but with my spiritual senses, which were passed down through the generations by spiritual guides and spiritual teachers, of lessons to be learned, the hard way or the soft way, my choice. I choose to be present in this moment. I am no one's victim. I am the Holy Spirit's victorious one, humbly finding my way through this hell plane. And I spelled plane Plain and Plan, beloveds. And that's because those two words, like I said in the beginning, was the word. You really need to pay attention to the words. These words are carefully selected. They are carefully spoken. The words are chosen I'm spirit led. So these words are led by spirit. So they have a specific spiritual frequency and spectrum to them regarding the title, regarding the subject, regarding the context of which I'm speaking. Okay? Navigating the winds as currents in the sands of time. Humbly finding my way through this hell plane, navigating the winds as currents. Currents. In the sands of time. That's very metaphysical. Understanding that the winds of change, you have to navigate them, because they can blow you off course without you even understanding you turned in a different direction. Okay? That's where your spiritual vigilance has to come in. That's why you need to have these spiritual lenses and be crafting them. Okay? Through crafting, creating, giving birth to lenses, eyes, a way forward, triggering is allowing someone to get into your head, spiritual conscious awareness, and reacting, responding, engaging in the crafted, created, conjured way that they designed or imagined, expected, or assumed that you would. Now, this is all posted on my Facebook page, and I thought I would bring it forward because a lot of people don't like to read, beloveds. They can put this on and go about their business and just listen to it while they're driving or cleaning or doing whatever, okay? And so, like I said, I'm going to start sharing things like this because it needs to be heard. It needs to be heard. and it needs to be said. And so I'm going to go forward. Now, this person I'm following on Facebook, and I'm not going to even attempt to say the name. I'm going to spell it though. Jumoke Jumoke Ajamu. Like I said, that's the spelling of it. And she can be found on my Facebook page, and this can be found on my Facebook page. And I so resonated with it that I wanted to share it. And I have two pieces from her. Let us live in harmony and peace, profound with nature and humanity. We are faced today with many distressing world situations, including the daily barrage of news about appalling war and hate crimes being committed and of rampant corruption within political class, with no seeming redress to justice. We need not waste thoughts, words, or actions on frivolities, but to live our lives on higher plane of existence as genuine mystics, with that our intent on working quietly to bring light to darkened world. What is she saying? Beloved, she's saying simply that we worry and worry and worry about so much that's going on in the world, in and around us. We worry and we think, what can I do about it? How is this going to affect? We worry, okay? And when you craft your spiritual lenses, okay, and when you put them on and you began to look through them and you began to become one with them and you began to see through that lens everything and nothing all at the same time, your faith will come in and tell you that through your instincts and intuition, you don't have to worry about this. This was prophesied about. This was put in motion way at the very beginning of time. Yes, it may affect you. Yes, you may suffer from its effects, but be aware of it and understand that there's nothing you can do to stop it. All you can do is be aware of it and go with the flow of it. Okay? Use your spiritual intelligence to keep yourself safe, to keep yourself at a distance, to keep yourself prepared for the cleansing that's happening. It's very specific, it's very pointed, beloveds. Okay? Things are going to be very much like a emotional roller coaster if you're always worried about what's going to happen next. And this is happening now. And that is happening to this. And that is happening to that. That is your human persona's limited perspective on what it sees, what it knows, and what it understands. And it has no faith, or its faith is very weak. And so it does not trust that miracles happen, that this is divine, or everything is happening in divine order. That although it may look destructive and chaotic, it is birthing something brand new. See, when you have these spiritual lenses that you must craft, you understand that certain things you don't have to worry about. Do not let them take you off of your stand. Do not let them knock you down. Do not let them fill you full of fear. Do not let them diminish your faith. Many things many people, many situations, many circumstances are going to come and test you. Make sure you're doing your spiritual best. Make sure you're doing and you're being your spiritual best in a way that you're, oh, I'll be forgiven for this, or oh, God will let me get away with that, or that's not really that bad. Your conscience knows. You're going to feel guilt, you're going to feel shame, you're going to feel judged, you're going to feel all these different things. With truth and authenticity, listen, observe the frequencies and spectrums that are around you, that you are attracting, that you are receiving at this time, for you to decipher, for you to analyze, for you to act, respond, or not act and respond upon. You are empowered. Never think you're not. Let's keep going, beloveds. We need not waste thoughts, words, or actions on frivolities, but to live our lives on higher plane of existence as genuine mystics with that are intent on working quietly to bring light to darkened world. We always have opportunities to do good if we sufficiently attune to needs of Mother Earth and nature. The human footprint. Each day we have invigorating opportunity to advance our attunement with ultimate guidance force that Rosicrucians refer to as the God of our heart. Its inner divine spark leads us to discover our ever more complex and refined levels of personal intellect. Despite harsh realities of life for many of us, it is still good time to be alive and to proffer solutions to our worldwide problems if we accept the challenge to assist our increasingly damaged planet and humankind. So, beloveds, we are encouraged to understand our spiritual heart and to understand that that spiritual heart is connected to everything, to all the frequencies and spectrums on this earth plane, the earth mother herself, and that the human footprint upon the earth mother, we are her caretakers, but right now we are her killers, we are her death dealers. We have to revise our roles, and in order to do that, we have to bring in self-love. Because if we hate ourselves, of course we're going to hate the planet. And we're going to hate others. Because hate is something that spreads. When you learn that, it's very hard to unlearn. The ego is stubborn. Okay? Hate gives it more of a solid foundation on which to stand. Hate supports the ego. When you remove hate, you remove a pillar from the ego to support itself. It gets wobbly. And you begin to falter. And you begin to question. And you begin to doubt. Because one of the tools you had in your toolbox, that hate, has been removed or has been extinguished or liquidated, or it has vanished because of a truth that you've learned, and you can no longer deny it. Your ego can deny it, but your spiritual self, your spiritual heart, you can't deny it. Your conscious awareness has expanded to accept it as truth. And once that happens, you can't go back, beloveds. And that consciousness is going to worry you. It is going to nag you. Because that is your teacher. That is your mother. That is the mother tongue. That is the quiet voice of wisdom. Wisdom is unconditional love. And you have to be able to be a receiver of that in order to have any kind of peace, in order to hold peace, in order to maintain peace, in order to assume peace, in order to be peace and peaceful. Despite harsh realities of life for many of us, it is still good time to be alive and to proffer solutions to our worldwide problems. If we accept the challenge to assist our increasingly damaged planet and humankind, we see the world greatly diminished and suffering due to human-created global warming and by steady loss of biodiversity that result from large human footprint on Earth. With accurate and free circulation of information, we experience war and continual possibility of Third World War. Despite these worrying signs for mankind, we are obligated as spiritual beings in human form to live our lives in compassionate and constructive particular manner, despite the glaring issues of misgovernment in many countries. We still need to live our lives of goodness and kindness by exerting positive influence within our communities, according to our highest ideas of justice and fairness. And beloveds, we begin with ourselves. We begin that justice and fairness within ourselves. Okay? What is just and fair means you love yourself unconditionally. You get yourself out of situations that are not healthy for you. You do not keep participating in situations that will drag you into quicksand, will drag you into water so deep that you drown. Okay? And will drag you into something where you become codependent on another's validation of you. Stay present within yourself, beloveds. Stay present in your spiritual heart. Learn to circulate and radiate that unconditional love that is there. That is the Holy Spirit that you were born, that you incarnated with, and that this world is trying to silence or deny that you even have access to. Okay? So this is the justice. Be just unto yourself before you can be just with others. We have vast storehouses of knowledge through history, books, and direct experience to draw upon bitter experiences of innumerable past wars and hostilities. And we are thus exposed to available information of the folly of war. And yet, despite all these, we have enjoyed few periods of true peace, of plenty and stability, and rapid intellectual advancement. And why is that? I'm going to get into why that is. That is the purpose of this video, beloveds. Like I said, it is to inform. It is to give you things to think about. It is to expand your spiritual conscious awareness. It is for you to start your own quest, your own questions for who you are and what your purpose is. We actively draw upon the ethos and moral values for personal inner development on a global scale. Egregore, and collective consciousness, our universe is an orderly, complex system of highly refined creative intelligences that connect with each other in new and far higher form of collective consciousness that Rosicrucians refer to as egregore, Egregore, of united life with cognitive and decision-making abilities as human part of group consciousness. Now, beloveds, I'm not a Rosicrucian. I'm not affiliated with Rosicrucian. I have very limited knowledge of their belief systems, just like I have very limited knowledge of many other theological, religious philosophies, and so forth and so on. Okay? So I am not promoting the Rosicrucians by reading this. I'm saying you always need something to compare. Okay? You always need something to guide you on the way of what you're looking at. And you look at it and understand that everything can be used for good or evil, and you decide how you're going to use it. You decide what that energy is for you. Okay? And understand that you can transmute things just by changing the connotation or the context of things. In the beginning was the word. Okay? This is saying that your consciousness has an intellect. Okay? And that the human consciousness as a collective and as individual is very important to the human psyche of understanding itself and of being the best that it can be in operating at its highest frequencies and spectrums. Okay? We are tiny parts of an immensely greater collective whole that live individually and experience life of human collective as egregore. When we consider our galaxies with billions of planets and bodies that exist today and many more that existed in the past but are no longer in existence, we realize that many other civilizations must have risen to greater heights before, but have fallen into oblivion because of foolish, small-minded, selfish decisions that resulted eventually in hasty, untimely, catastrophic actions. We must avoid similar pitfalls as we grow in scientific knowledge and power. We must fight the tendency to destroy our world and humanity in a matter of hours. And beloveds, that is a very powerful statement, because with the nuclear age, because of toxic waste, because of all the synthetics and the GMOs and the gases and everything that we're doing, we have ways to bring death to a very large population very quickly. Disease. We see that with COVID. What COVID did, shut the whole world down. But we've forgotten it just that quick. The impact is now way back in our minds, and we're moved on to the next crisis. But it's still there. This is what is meant by hasty, untimely, catastrophic actions. Look at how many beings thought that COVID was a hoax and that the vaccination was a lie. And then when it became mandatory and everything, things began to change. I'm not here to push the shot or tell you don't get the shot. That's not my business. That's your decision. That's your business. Okay? But understand that I'm going to read this again. We are tiny parts of an immensely greater collective whole that live individually and experience life of a human collective, microcosmic and macrocosmic, beloveds. As egregore, when we consider our galaxies with billions of planets and bodies that exist today, and many more that existed in the past but are no longer in existence, we realize that many other civilizations must have risen to greater heights before, but have fallen into oblivion because of what? Foolish, small-minded, selfish decisions that resulted eventually in hasty and untimely catastrophic actions. That means the elite that control things are small-minded and foolish and selfish. And the decisions that they make, it winds up destroying the whole of civilization. The earth literally has to restart herself. And so we're being warned, okay? We're being warned to take note of this, be aware of this. Don't just keep running around like chickens with your heads cut off doing the same thing. You can't say that you don't know what war is and why war happened. You know how many people study war? I look forward to the time when we don't have to study war no more. I do. I pray that prayer. Thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. Then you don't have to worry about war no more. You don't have to worry about death no more. You don't have to worry about disease. You don't have to worry about if somebody likes you or if they don't like you or if they're going to hurt you. Just for the fun of it. Just to see how you react to it. If their prediction or their assumption or if their expectation was right. You know, people bully and troll and do stuff just for that reason alone. That's hateful. That's self-hate. That's wicked. That's evil. And not enough people are calling it out. That's bullying. Why? Because of the oblivion that we have fallen into. The small-minded, selfish decisions resulting in hasty, untimely, catastrophic actions. We have children shooting up schools. We have children committing suicide. We have children that don't know if they want to be a boy or a girl or a girl or a boy, or if they want to have sex at all. Or if they want to be seen sexually, because there's so much sex stuff in this world. They don't even want to participate in it. In the gender identification. In the expectations. In the assumptions. The traditions that are passed on. They have reached a point in their souls where they're tired of it. And there is something else got to happen. There has to be something else. I'm going to invent something else. I'm going to be something else. And I don't care if you call me crazy, and I don't care if you want to kill me. Some can go the distance. Some going to endure. They don't care. And some, it gets too heavy for them, and it crushes them. Some recover and some don't. And we're supposed to be observing and witnessing this, and being able to heal ourselves and each other through this, through the sacrifices, through the suffering. Not to continue the cycles and seasons of this stuff. We must avoid similar pitfalls as we grow in scientific knowledge and power. Not just scientific knowledge. You can have all those other cultures and civilizations that fell. Believe you me, they had scientific knowledge. And they knew about power, great power, okay? The one thing they did not stabilize or have at their behest or use to their benefit was spiritual conscious awareness as a collective body. And so they fell. Again, these words, beloveds, fell, fallen. When you fall, where do you go? To the dirt. What is the dirt? The earth. Birth, death, rebirth. You're just stirring the same old pot. The same, you're tilling the ground. You're bringing the most fertile all the way deepest down there back up to the top. What's that called? Aerating or something like that? Pay attention. Use your lenses. Use the craft. Craft your lenses through everything that you're seeing, hearing. Okay? Consciously form an opinion, a spiritual opinion. Consciously judge it through the morals of unconditional love. Not necessarily through dogma and this and that, or this side or that side, or this one thinks this, or this philosophy or that philosophy. Unconditional love for all. Start there. We must fight the tendency to destroy our world and humanity in a matter of hours. We must be aware that despite our work on overpopulation and global warming and pollution, we must be mindful of catastrophically quick actions that could happen with an all-out nuclear war as we strive toward fulfillment with surviving, admirable, enduring human spirit. Our egregore and collective consciousness set our species apart on our planet. We must be seekers of light and life, foremost to manifest love at every available opportunity. Let us actively visualize the good as we earnestly strive towards the dream of collective liberation of the egregore of humanity into its inheritance of matter infused with wisdom and holiness, as avatars, masters, philosophers, and religious leaders of the past have shown us repeatedly. Let us bring the heavens down to earth and live in harmony with nature. And this comes from the book Bringing Heaven to Earth by Sven Johansson. Love is the right apprehension of the use and purposes of form, and of the energies involved in form building, the utilization of form, and the eventual dissipation of the superseded form. What the hell does that mean? It means very simply, beloveds, that love is the right measure. It is the right substance. It is the right compartment. It is the right tool. It is the right womb to use. It is the right ruler to use. Okay? When it comes to understanding purpose and form, and even formlessness, okay? But of the energies involved in form building, in looking at the world, and looking at the state of humanity, and looking at the state of the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom, understand that love is the greatest frequency and spectrum that holds it all together. And that when you eradicate love from the equation, everything else will crumble. Everything else will fall. Everything else will falter because love supports all. Period. It involves a realization of the laws of attraction and repulsion, of the magnetic interplay between all forms, great and small, of group relationships, of the galvanizing power of the unifying life and the attractive power of one unit upon another, be it atom, man, or solar system. So you've got to understand, love is the basis or the sacred ingredient within everything, okay? And love has to be expanded upon in order to expand upon the form. And when you detract or take away from love, you diminish the value. You diminish the frequency in the spectrum. You diminish the life force. You diminish the attraction of other life forces, of other love to you, to it. So love is a very important frequency and spectrum to cultivate. And you need to be able to see it, sense it, and know it fully. And understand that unconditional love is the highest form of love. Okay? It involves an understanding of all forms, form, purpose, and form relationships. It concerns the building processes in man himself and in the solar system. And it necessitates the development of those powers within man which will make him a conscious builder, a solar petri of a coming cycle. This is one of the great revelations of initiation, the unveiling to the initiate of the particular cosmic center whence emanates the type of force or energy which he, the initiate, will be concerned with when he becomes in due course a time or solar petri, or divine Manasapatra, to a coming humanity. All of this means is Savior, Messiah, teacher, sage, light, guide. Okay? And it all begins with love, with your ability to form love, with your ability to magnify love, with your ability to explain and break down love for others. And the initiate part of it, beloveds, is A new world requires new ways of being, new ways of thinking, using what works with the old laws, but coming up with better laws. Laws that are not just for a few elite, that serve a few elite, but serve the all of humanity, regardless of form, regardless of identity. Hence, he must have not only knowledge but the energy of love likewise to enable him to perform the function of linking the higher three and the lower four of a future race of men to some distant period, thus permitting of their individualizing through the sacrifice of his own fully conscious middle principle. And this comes from a source. The source is a treatise, Treatise on cosmic fire. Okay? And beloveds, basically what it's saying is that you have to have an understanding of the energy of love and able to perform and function the linking of the higher and lower chakras. Okay? The 4 lower ones and the 3 higher ones. Okay, from the heart up and from the heart down. You have to know what unconditional love is. You have to be stable with that. You have to be, and to be stable with that, you have to have been able to open and balance your own chakra system. Okay? And when you're able to do that, then you're able to link or magnetize that information, and it begins to circulate and flow on a whole global level, in which it will, everyone who's expanding their conscious awareness can tap in. Everyone who has crafted lenses to see or have a longing to craft lenses to see will be drawn in, will see, will find it. And that's due to the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is unconditional love, beloveds. Let's get into a little bit more. I want to get into the Nephilim. And I'm getting it, this is the darker things. This is the civilizations and ways that existed prior to our current spiritual conscious awareness cycle or season. Okay, that goes back to as far as we go back, is from what our understanding is like the Babylonian. Okay? And the Babylonian is the first civilization, and everything forward from that is what we look at. But the Nephilim were before the Babylonians. Okay, a lot of those other civilizations that were spoken of before were before this world that we live on. Okay? And I don't want to say this world that we live on, because it's the same earth. Okay? But this spectrum and frequency that we are at today. Okay? You have to understand the different cycles and seasons once again. And those cycles and seasons are measured by the astronomies and the astrology. So let me just keep going into this, beloveds, okay? I got this from the encyclopedia, Wikipedia.org. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of what it says, okay? Archaeologist George Ernest Wright believes that the belief in the Nephilim, especially as giants, originated with the Hebrews' contemplation of Transjordan megalithic structures and Cyclopean masonry based walls of Canaanite cities, with some being 18 feet thick. Wright also notes that ancient tribal people were relatively short, both before and after 3000 BCE, with no significant findings of abnormally sized aborigines. Biblical professor Brian R. Doak, on the other hand, believes the Nephilim lore is a polemic against the tropes of epic and heroism commonly found in worldviews of cultures similar to the Hebrews. J.C. Greenfield similarly believes that Nephilim lore is based on the negative aspects of the Apkallu tradition in Sumerian mythology. The Apkallu were 7 antediluvian culture heroes who were praised for their exceptional wisdom. In fact, some were even called the son of Ea. The Ankanites, who are associated with the Nephilim, are mentioned in the Egyptian excavation texts on the Middle Kingdom 2055 through 1650 BC as one of Egypt's political enemies in Canaan. Now, I know you're asking me, why am I bringing this information in the way I'm bringing it? Because, again, we have the fallen ones. The Nephilim were called fallen ones, beloveds. And they were believed to be the offspring or the children of fallen angels and human women. Okay? So human women gave birth to the Nephilim. All right? So, and these Nephilim were giants. And some of them, the majority of them, were evil. When you hear the different stories, I grew up watching Sinbad the Sailor and Jason and the Argonauts and all the Greek lore and all the Roman lore and all the mythologies. All of them had cyclopses and monsters and giants. Okay? So you have to understand that these were hybrids from what was a spiritual pure race and an impure race. Okay? And it produced giants. And so giants and regular sized humans did exist. This is a truth. It is not myth. It is not lore. It is not fairy tales. And to be perfectly honest with you, some of these giants are the gods of old. And they too were not good to the earth. And the earth destroyed them. Okay? And as the deterioration continued, that's where you got the demonic presence of the giants wanting to eat human beings and so forth and so on. But that, I just wanted to touch on that, so I did. And beloveds, again, this is in the wikipedia.com. It is also on my page. There is a lot there about the descendants of Seth and Cain. Offspring of Orion. In Aramaic culture, the term Nephilim refers to the offspring of Orion in mythology. And once again, beloveds, you have the stars and those who fell from the stars, okay, to the planet Earth. Understand, okay? And let's see what we have next. Next we have the cunning folk. Now this cunning folk, this is very peculiar to me. but it is so chock full of truths and knowledge that it just blew me apart. And I'm just going to get into it a little bit. Cunning folk, also known as folk healers or wise folk, were practitioners of folk medicine, helpful folk magic, and divination in Europe from the Middle Ages until the 20th century. Their practices were known as the cunning craft. And beloveds, that craft, like I said, that word, you need to craft a lens to see all of this. You need to look into it because you are affected by it still to this day. Okay? And it affects your reasoning. Remember, we went into what the word cunning meant yesterday. We went into the snake was the most cunning of all the beasts of the field. Of all the creatures of the earth, the snake was the most cunning. And now we're getting into the cunning folk, the cunning people. Okay? So understand why the serpent is worshipped and deified and used in so many rituals and rites, the way it is, okay? And across the board in many different aspects of spirituality and spiritual knowledge, okay? Their practices were known as the cunning craft. Their services also included thwarting witchcraft. Although some cunning folk were denounced as witches themselves, they made up a minority of those accused, and the common people generally made a distinction between the two. The name cunning folk originally referred to folk healers and magic workers in Britain, but the name is now applied as an umbrella term for similar people in all of Europe. Now, it goes on to list each of these countries. And then it gave me a word. I got to Russia. And since America is in this situation with Russia right now, this really caught my attention. It gave me the word Zagovory. Zagovory. Zagovory, the use of verbal incantations, arose from Slavic pagan prayers and incantations. Whether spoken, whispered, or sung, these incantations have been traditionally compared by associated rituals, some of which are or were physically demanding and strenuous. One example calls for the Zagovory practitioner to have either a full set of teeth or a knife as a symbolic substitute for teeth that were missing. The tradition survived the Christian era and largely through a process of syncretism and Christianization of the traditional rites in which images of and the lore about Jesus were added to the existing traditions. For instance, a healing would now be done in the name of Jesus, citing a story from the Bible. Societal concern about the practice of witchcraft centered on whether someone was using incantations or rites to cause harm. In one case of suspected witchcraft, investigators found a locked box containing something bundled in a kerchief and 3 paper packets wrapped and tied, containing crushed grasses. People in Russian and Ukraine societies usually shunned those said to be witches unless they felt they needed help against supernatural forces. Impotence, stomach pains, barrenness, hernias, abscesses, epileptic seizures, and convulsions were all attributed to evil or witchcraft. In Russia, 3/4 of those accused of witchcraft were men. That struck me, beloveds, especially since we're dealing and living in still in a patriarchal age, and how this whole these videos in this series came about in crafting the lens, the word craft and the word magic, and the words themselves. We just learned about incantations and chants and songs and singing. These are ancient forms of using witchcraft or crafting spells or crafting or using words to manifest a specific desire. Thank you. Okay. Whether that desire is beneficial or harmful. All right? This is ancient. And, you know, I grew up thinking that, like I said a few videos ago, my great-grandmother was supposedly, root work had been put on her. Okay? So I always felt the family, especially the women, had been cursed. My grandmother died at 43. My mother died at 43. Life for us, the matriarchal line, is very hard. And it's coming to an understanding that we are very spiritual beings. So there are forces that come up against our conscious awareness and wants to keep us shut down, wants to keep us curled in that little fetal ball position, to keep us helpless, to keep us harmless, okay? And when I say harmless, that means to keep us silent about spreading unconditional love and about healing and about the Holy Spirit and being a vessel, a divine vessel for that Holy Spirit, and about loving yourself unconditionally. You have to understand that there are forces in the world that do not want that kind of, those kind of words, that kind of energy to spread. Okay? So they keep it very boxed in as much as they can. And that too is foretold. But that too has a time limit. Okay? And so, operating within that time limit, gain the perspectives that you need to gain in order to expand your spiritual conscious awareness enough so that you know what's going on spiritually, so that what is going on doesn't overpower you, overtake you. Your faith is strong enough to repel it, to push back on it, to support you, to keep you standing, to keep you whole and holy. Again, 3/4 of those in Russia were men. So understand the men were warlocks or wizards. The women were witches. And we're at a time now in October where Samhain is coming around. And the word witch, the word wizard, the word warlock, a lot of those have negative connotations to them. But there are some that consider those terms to be speaking or describing people that do healing, or what's called light magic or white magic. Okay? And this is where you get the two, again, you have the polarities. You have the dark, the shadow, You have the hexes, the curses, and you have the light where you have the healing and the blessings. And so you have to be able to recognize the energy. And you have to be able to discern which is which. Which is which. And what you're dealing with. And understand that the spirit realm is nothing to play with. If you do not respect it, you will lose yourself. It will swallow you. It will consume you in ways that you never imagined. That's where addictions, that's where all the shadow and the dark things, thoughts and feelings come from. Okay? That's the extreme dark side of that. And, beloved, sometimes you have to be in a position where if you're doing or you're calling yourself a spiritual worker, you have to be able or be educated enough, empowered enough, where you have to use the dark to combat the dark. And I say that simply because I have been in situations where I couldn't receive the light. All there was darkness. And so I had to go to the darkest places within myself in order to find the light again. And I hope that makes sense to you. That sometimes, in order to find the light, you have to go to the darkest places within yourself. The places of your shadows, the places of your fears, the places of your terrors. Be they generational or something that you've manifested on your own in this life. There's nothing higher than God. God for me, when I say God, I'm speaking of Source. I am speaking of the Great Spirit. I am speaking of the highest consciousness that had no beginning or has no ending. That consciousness which sees everything and put everything in motion because it was its will. And it has the patience to watch everything unfold into unconditional love. No matter how many millennia it takes, no matter how many worlds have to be born and die and reborn, no matter how many timelines have to be reset. Okay? So understand what I'm speaking of when I speak of God, when I speak of highest consciousness, when I speak of the Holy Spirit. I'm speaking of that which is pure. Let's move forward. Again, the words matter. The words matter, beloveds. And so that is basically going to do it for me in everything that I'm looking at and in everything that I have shared with you. We may have many different ways of looking at things, beloveds, But love is love. And that's the greatest form of support that we have. That's the greatest medicine that we have. That's the greatest tool that we have to measure anything and everything with. Now, I was only going to pull one card, but two came forth. And so let me just get into them right quick. The first card is command. This card comes up a lot, beloved. It is number 4. It is the Emperor. Okay? And do me a favor and look up number 4 on Writing the Beast. WritingTheBeast.com, look up the number 4. I've posted it many times. I'm just going to get into this. 4, form. Order. Traditional name of this card, the Emperor. Medicine woman energy, taking command for the good of all. Affirmation. I now create the structures through which all of my gifts will be actualized. I am the governor of my world. I am the ruler of my life. From limitless spirit, I draw all things needed for right action. The card speaks. I am the Emperor Chief, creator of the overall structure that takes into account the many abilities, talents, and experiences you have discovered within and relates them to the world's needs. Structures has been coming up as a energized word lately. Through the Empress bounty in yourself, you learn of these gifts in your being. Now through me, you will learn how to give them physical form. You have journeyed as the full seed, willing to take a risk to move forward. Then as the magician, resourceful one, you saw the tools you have to use along the way. As the high priestess or seeker, you realized your responsibility for that which you experience. At the same time, along the way, you discovered an abundance of good ideas, high goals, and the personal ambitions. You experienced the bountiful feeling of the Empress when you saw the abilities, talents, and knowledge that have been planted in your consciousness. Now it is time to find a structure that can allow this whole self to come through in fullness. Your thoughts and images dictate your reality. You must take command now. It is time to make decisions that benefit your whole being and that of the earth. Your dwelling place, I tell you, you are the maker of your personal law. The definitions of the meaning of your experiences constitute or make into law. Suggestions that are accepted without reservation by your consciousness. You define what you see, many times without thinking. Realize you have choice in your definition. In your response to any situation, this is your point of power. Beloveds, that is the crafting of words. That is understanding the spirit that is used to craft words. That is understanding the spiritual wisdom of words. Building with words, building structures with words, building images with words, forming bridges with words, communicating with words. Okay? So understand how powerful that is. I'm going to astrological sign Aries. I'm going to skip some things about in this And I'm going to just go straight to it. This card, again, is command. It has come up many times. It is in many different videos. You can look it up, medicinewoman.com by Carol Bridges, and see what the card says. Again, I am just going to move through it. Flowing with the go. Command is not power over the force, but working with the force. It is the taking advantage of a flow already strongly going. Consider these forces and whether you currently have command of them. Money, sex, time, energy. The chief must consider how to utilize not only her own, but each individual's talent to take advantage of the tribe's innate wealth. Your tribe may be your family, peer group, business, staff, or a spiritual circle. As leader, you must be within each person. Then you must figure out how to encourage the full expression of these initiate qualities in a way that benefits the whole. These innate tendencies will always be the things that make the individual feel fulfilled and happy during the process. The love. What is good for the individual is good for the whole. No one is asked to give up the self to sacrifice for the tribe. That's the difference in the religions. Okay? Likewise, the chief looks at the larger forces of life, not only the forces of nature, but the forces of society, and does her best to work with the flow of these forces. Once again, a utilization of the energy and process is called for. It is not a giving up or a giving in, but a taking advantage of. It is using the momentum, that Olin, the movement, of what is already happening. If the fish swim upstream, you go there to catch them. You don't give up eating. You harness the wind with windmills and generate power for your own needs. You don't sit around wishing for electricity. The flowing river turns the water wheel, runs the mill, grinds the grain. Rain, falling from the roof, fills the barrel for watering your garden. Beloveds, you have to have spiritual works for faith to be activated, to be used. Okay? Likewise, the chief looks... Okay, I just read that. In modern life, the amount of money you have is a power. However inadequate you may think it to be, it is a force given to you to see if you can make wise choices, to see if you can maximize its potential to create a good of your choice. Of itself, it is like a lump of clay. Do you say this is just dirt and throw it away? Or do you become a sculptor? It is the same with the time you have been given, your lifetime. How do you use it? Does every moment count? When free, do you allow the true self to come out? Do you love, create, enjoy your time? Or is it all given to the suppression of self to another's will? Taking command is using your will, thereby increasing your willpower. Your thoughts are another tremendous creating force. How do you use them? They form your world on the inner plane, setting up the patterns that manifest in the outer world. Take command. Within every situation, there are forces at work. I said that, remember? Powers already in action. The wise chief finds a way to use them for greater good. It is the chief's goal always to bring better fortune to her people, and thus the self as well. The ancient martial arts are supreme examples of learning to use the energy at hand in a physical way. The Aikido master takes advantage of the direction of the opponent. Go with the direction of the fall. That which opposes you is rendered helpless to harm you. A loss is always a new freedom as well. A gain is a stepping stone. The challenge you are given by a life situation is an opportunity to perfect a skill or quality that you will be happy to have later. As the great plan of the unfolding universe is put before you, you are a warrior in training. Never complain about an opportunity to hone your skills. Go forward with the fullness of your being. Take command. The non-chief explains. The non-chief complains. The chief sees opportunity and takes charge of the forces by setting herself in a position that will receive the forces, benefit and diminish the likelihood of harm. You, like the chief, have had your own goals and deeply held values. These should not be set aside. The lesson of taking command is simply that you must see your mind and will to place yourself, container of these goals and values, in a position where they will be strengthened and enhanced. Go now. Look at your deepest needs and desires. In what already happening flow of energy can you place them? Stop embracing struggle. Take command. That is that card, beloveds. That is being still. That is taking command of your situation and circumstances, regardless of what is going on around you. Past, present, and future. You are connected with the moment. The next card that came, beloved, was healing. And that's number 8. And it is the strength card in the regular deck. So let me get to that. 8. And as you can see, I've got it all marked up. So here we go. And you know what? I'm going to read it. 8, healing. Number and meaning, harmony, balance. Traditional name, strength. Medicine woman energy, healing power. Affirmation. All of my desires have aligned with my highest ideas. Thus my presence heals. I look forward with confidence to the eternal splendor of my love-filled life. The card speaks. Strength is the quality present in me when my mind and heart are working in the same direction. Remember, I was speaking of the chakras and the heart being the uniting, the lower and the upper. Here we go again, beloved. I have learned how to place my desires like a chain of roses, one intertwined with another in a mutually compatible arrangement. Rosicrucians, there we go. I have rejected those desires that interfere with my main purpose in life. I have seen how my talents and abilities, my deep felt longings and soul needs can all work together for my highest good. I have learned to use my creative imagination, trying out different arrangements until I see how I can transform what appears to be an obstacle into a benefactor. I have tamed the beast. What were once threatening forces, I now control through the power of my thought. Remember, I said sometimes you have to go to the darkest places within yourself. That's how you tame the beast. And that's how you control that force. And you use that energy that's there. Not by creating walls, but by making of the enemy a friend, do I gain dominion. My power is the power of the caring ways. I possess the power of my inner convictions. My sexual life, creative energy is channeled through the thoughts which I dwell upon. toward the upliftment of others in the service to the one. So let me just read this. My sexual is energy is channeled through the thoughts that I dwell upon toward the upliftment of others in service to the one. So physically I am celibate, but spiritually I am actively sexual. Okay? And that doesn't mean I'm having astral sex either. Okay? That's a whole nother show. And that astral sex is what brought the Nephilims into being. There's a word also that came about. It's on my Facebook page, beloveds, about how the incubus and succubus, these are sexual, malevolent spirits, energy, and how they gain access to you during sex, and how they use you, your body fluids, so forth and so on, okay, to produce beings, puppets. Let me keep going for it. I live within you. As you work with changing the patterns of your own life, becoming conscious of your choices, you feel me grow. That's that spiritual conscious awareness. The energy I have to give to you is infinite. That is what God, the highest self, says to you when you tap into that stream, that living stream of spiritual conscious, expanding conscious awareness. That which is able to expand is fertile. It is innocent. It is pure. It is able to receive 100%. Okay? So understand why you need your spiritual consciousness to be pure, to be focused only on receiving from the Holy Spirit. The energy I have to give you is infinite. Only the mind interferes by its limiting thoughts. As you change them, you open up the door to my unbounded love and healing force. Self-questioning, what would happen if I stopped complaining? And let's see here. The astrological sign is Leo. And I'm going to skip to the healing strength. To get, if you get 8 healing in a reading, it is probably telling you that you must be a healing force in the situation. So this crafting a lens is becoming a healing force in the situation, beloveds. In order to help the situation that you're seeing, you must craft you a spiritual lens. And through crafting that spiritual lens and looking through it in a spiritual way and expanding your own spiritual conscious awareness, you bring about health, because you begin strengthening yourself. You begin strengthening that spiritual frequency, that spiritual spectrum, okay, as an individual, and it adds to the collective or to the joint efforts that's going on all around the earth, through the plant kingdom, through the animal kingdom, and through others, beloveds. So understand that you're not alone in this ever, okay? You're not alone in it. Okay, let me keep going. And remember, it is your consciousness that has the superior power to create a beneficial outcome. You must keep your mind in the light. Make sure you are envisioning potential success, whether it be health, wealth, or conflict resolution. Your inner force is strong and can see through whatever trouble might be appearing. In fact, it may be so strong right now that you don't even see any trouble all the better. Your state of high consciousness will automatically be resolving difficulties all around you without your even working at it. This is the strength of your bright inner vision. Let it continue to fill you with your thoughts. Let it continue to fill you with thoughts of love and beauty, and these vibrations will radiate from your being, will radiate from you quite naturally. That radiating has been felt, seen, sensed, and enjoyed as a process. It is this card of strength and healing that is best expressed in the blessing way prayer below. I will be happy forever. Nothing will hinder me. I walk with beauty before me. I walk with beauty behind me. I walk with beauty above me. I walk with beauty below me. I walk with beauty around me. My words will be beautiful. This is a prayer of the Navajo people. Visualize and inwardly feel the beauty of life surrounding you as you say it. The more you radiate healing, the stronger your healing force will become. Walk in beauty. I went to the bear ceremony. There is yellow in those rainbows. There are deers represented there. There are birds. There are the lotus upon the waters. There's the lioness and her cub. There is the woman and her child, and she's holding his leg as he sits naked on her shoulder. And there's that tree, what we started this whole talk with, the number 8, beloveds. That's 4 and 4. So that's going to do it for this video. Again, thank you. Again, watch the first video, and if you can, or if you're interested, call into the Blog Talk Radio show. I'll try to put that information in this description, okay? And we can go from there. Hope to hear from you. Let me know if you like what you're receiving or what I'm sharing. Also, if there's a subject or something you want, you would like for me to cover or for me to speak on, please put it in the comments areas on my YouTube channel, on my Facebook page, on my Blog Talk Radio show. Let me know. Also, like and subscribe and hit the notification button. Thank you, beloveds. Namaste.